what is the difference that you see a woman who is healthy and a woman like who is still trying to be like to become healthier and happy?
Tell me how many times in a day you're worried. A women's wellness cannot be linear. It's always cyclic.
I do have my own personal journey with lots of ups and downs.
Depression is super high at a point where women have felt suicide. I'm not feeling fine. It's not your level fine. Her level fine can be different from your level.
There's never this comparison between like someone and someone.
No.
It's about me, like how I am today and what I would want.
Correct. Entire thing about how your body plays a vital role in everything that you're doing. I need to take care of myself.
As much as we want to take care of our family, so we also want to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So we need to find a balance. Welcome to the podcast Path to Inner Joy. Hi Aditi.
Hi Vana, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the podcast Path to Inner Joy. Thank you for accepting the invitation and joining us.
Yeah.
Path to Inner Joy is all about finding joy from inside. And I believe it all starts with taking care of our physical health and taking care of our mental health.
Sure.
When I have seen Femwave and your work, the community you created for women, to talk about their physical challenges and also to connect with experts to know how to be physically healthy and prevent diseases beforehand. So that's very inquisitive. I have become so curious to know more about Femwave. Can you walk us through about your journey, how it started and why you started Femwave?
Okay, so when you say Femved, it starts with Femtech. So my journey started as a person who was building on a business model because I had just finished my business studies and I was working on this business model for creating a platform for women and especially entrepreneurs. But as you say, and everybody in the femtech industry will give you this as their experience. Femtech becomes very, very personal, and so did Femwave. So fate had it. I was working on my business model, and my best friend, she's Greek, and I was then in UK and just came back from England, and she was going through her PCOS journey, and what really at that moment what heightened was the blood sugar levels and the issues that were surrounding around it, and the one thing that we continuously discussed was that the heightened panic, the overwhelm, the restlessness, and I could connect with it because I had gone through it 10 years ago, the same journey. So invariably I was like, okay, how about we look for a holistic wellness, rather an Ayurvedic doctor, because that helped me, or an Ayurvedic practitioner in Athens for you, and let's connect and let's see what can happen, because clinically whatever you do at the end of the day you need to look at your lifestyle. We will talk about it. We'll talk about it in details about why women's wellness is so unique. So while we were at it, me coming from the whole business model version and also from the extremely heightened relatability of the fact that there will be, if not many, but there will be few women who will be going through this overwhelm, right? So can we build a platform for them? And that is how Femwave was built. It was created with the personal experience, but also when I was in that process of building a platform. And that was a time when Femtech was also coming in awareness, like people were getting to know about Femtech as a matter of fact. So to cut the story short, Femway started with personal experience. It was just about if we are feeling this, and if when you're going through your unique problems, they are so personal, and what you need to do is work on yourself and your personal well-being and your lifestyle. What can we give? So can we create a platform that is about holistic wellness? Can we start talking to women? Can we help our friends, if not many women out there? But yeah, that's how Femway was.
Right. So how old is Femway by now?
So Femway is now, since inception, it is more than 2 years. So we were in the whole inception stage for a longest time, but it's been 18 months, and now it's a holistic wellness platform, a community for women across the globe.
So how many women are there on the platform?
So we have a huge database of women who come on the platform. But when we look at our user base, it's more than 500 plus women across the globe, and we have been connecting with them at every stage. It's not just through one channel; it's multiple channels. So we connect with them not just by giving personalized programs or personalized plans. We have master classes, we have consultations, we even have community meetups now. So the community is increasing, the tribe is increasing, and it's been quite a satisfying and amazing journey so far, because we are all connected. There is always some connect with all the users on our platform, so that's what makes it more real. It just makes it more natural. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how does it feel like as members are growing?
Well, it's always a happy moment. It's like when we started, it's like even one person. We used to discuss this amongst all the members of Femway. Like we have other two partners, right, who are experts in their own field. Pratima is a Ayurvedic doctor and Mandira is a yoga expert. But so we always used to be like, even one woman comes for the wellness program, or even for masterclass, we are going to do that masterclass. So that's how it has been, and it's always validating to know that when they come and they talk to us, like that now we have reached a point where they speak to us and they're like, we're glad you're doing this, please don't stop, please don't give up, next time I'm going to tell my friend, and I'm so glad that there was so much of kindness while talking to the experts, and she listened to me. So when this happens, it feels good. But number does matter. Like if you're in a femtech industry, and if you are a woman who's leading a bootstrap femtech business, numbers do matter. And then it is, the cherry on the cake is when the quality is also there, where you are connected with all the members on your platform. So yeah.
So, I mean, now I have gotten a brief understanding of what exactly Femway is. Can you drive us a little bit deeper, like what exactly it does, like how exactly it supports women, what all services we can get through Femway platform?
Okay, so Femway had its own journey. We started as a platform like any other platform that was giving tech-driven wellness programs to all the women across the globe. Now Femway is a co-creating platform for all the women who want to own their wellness. So we are enabling the wellness revolution that women have already started. They come to Femway, they get to co-create with holistic wellness experts across the globe. They get to own their wellness with them. They decide as to what they want. They're not told as to, okay, take this and move on. They decide exactly what they want, which expert they want to connect with, and more so, they also get the validation and authenticity on our platform. It's not like every other cortisol coach on your social media, right? Or it's not about someone talking about mental wellness or PCOS. It's authenticated. These are doctors who have so much so that PhDs and they've done their researches from well-known universities. So it is a place where you get to connect online as well as offline and create your own wellness model. So you don't have to be given a particular thing. You come to a platform and you decide what you want. So you've been given the choice. So you select.
So all of the doctors that are on your platform are Ayurvedic, or you do have like
So
different?
yeah, so initially we started with Ayurvedic doctors. However, eventually we've realized, and when we've spoken to our user base, they do want to explore the other holistic wellness arenas and expertise. And if you look at that, and of course there are, see, we will talk about women and their uniqueness, and it is so intense and it is so in depth. It also relates to where you're from, how old you are, what culture you belong to, where you've been raised. All that matters. So if you're talking about holistic wellness, you can't just go in one direction. You need to have the naturopathy, you need to have the Chinese medicines, you need to have the Western medicine integration, you need to have Ayurvedic integration. Being told what to do has been done for generations, right? So pill for a ill method has been throughout, and we just want to break that. So when you come on Femwave's platform, it is quite it's not something that you will just see experts from different areas of science, but that is based on our analysis also. So if you see an expert from an Ayurvedic background, there's a reason why she is there with an Chinese or naturopath expert who's collaborating with her and bringing in a particular concept or a program or a plan, wellness plan. So that's all like coming in together. So that's what we're trying to do.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So in my personal journey also I have worked with Chinese herbs and also functional practitioner and Ayurvedic. So
Right.
for me, functional practitioner medicine has worked very well. So I think it's different from
Correct.
person to person.
It's different from person to person. It's also different from. See, wellness is not a trend. It's not something that we. It's a big responsibility as a founder. You sitting here doing this particular podcast and talking about wellness, it's a big responsibility. So it's not just about how personal it is. It's also about how authentic it is. So where is it coming from? Who is giving you that particular solution? So that all matters, and that's the reason why the back end works really. They're really into this, and the back end is of course the doctors who are on board too, and they put in a lot of efforts to filter everything that is possible, and then it's
Nice,
being
that's
given.
nice. You're
Yeah.
doing so much of hard work, like putting so much of intensive research
Yeah.
to find the right person to onboard on your platform.
Correct.
So that it becomes easy for people like us directly
Yeah.
where we can access the right people for our needs. So
Right. Yeah.
thanks for doing it. It's very
I
tough.
mean, that's something that has become a habit now. So, yeah.
That's nice. So
Yeah.
I wish you all the best with that process. Like more people have to come and use the right doctors at the right time.
Yeah.
So that helps us very well.
Yeah.
So you said you had your own personal journey of going through PCOS and
Correct.
getting
Yeah.
back to your shape.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that changed your perception towards life and what changes you did to your lifestyle or to your personal journey?
Yeah. See, like if you get into the whole personal journey, I mean, it is for anybody. Like for you or for me, it's not like linear. It's not a straightforward journey, right? There is always ups and downs to it, and especially when it comes to our wellness, especially women. Now again, if we go back to my PCOS journey or my health concerns, it started when I lost my father, and it was so sudden that it was driven by grief. Now who knew that grief will lead to the onset of PCOS? And again, I had the onset of it, and thankfully I had this opportunity to go through Ayurvedic medicines also while I was going through my gynecologist and their solutions. But I worked on it. So then I did yoga. I did my. But you know what happens is, okay, you're fine, you're doing well, okay, and you're going on in that direction, and the routine is there. Then comes COVID, and then it again hit, right? And then something else happens, and it then again goes down, and then it goes up, and then it goes down. So that is the thing, that is the honest thing. So if you ask me, my personal journey with wellness is, you keep on doing your thing. It is never going to, it is never, it's never about you're completely fine, you're completely healed, or you do not have anything to now bother about. So that's why a pill for an ill doesn't work. There is always something newer that will come in your life, right? In your life, when you are going through this structure and you're trying to follow a particular system, it will happen. So that PCOS might result in something. For once, it could be on your weight. For the next time, it could be your pimples. Next time, there would be something else. So that doesn't stop. So for me, my personal journey has been being consistent and continuously following through the routine. But that doesn't mean it's like 100% on, right? It's not going in that one channel direction. So
Yes, I do agree. Like I can
Yeah.
connect to what you're saying.
Correct.
Like I do have my own personal journey with lots of ups and downs.
Correct.
So yeah, whenever a stress triggers, so automatically certain things changes
Correct.
in our body, and it all starts with. I mean, first thing is about fertility. That's where we see the difference. Like,
Right.
and also the period regulation cycles. That's
Correct.
where we see
Right.
the first thing. So it's always, yeah, ups and downs. When the cycle misses, so it takes a long time to get back
Yeah.
on track,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then something hits back again, and
Yeah.
it takes
Then
some
yeah, it's always cyclic. It cannot. If women's wellness cannot be linear. It just cannot, and that's the reason why now you will see multiple research coming on now. I mean, it's been ages that women are in the world, right? But it's been few years that we are coming to a point and saying that, oh, it's not linear. Like,
right.
tell me how many times in a day you're worried.
Many
Then
times.
the counterpart of
Yeah.
your partner or anybody
Correct.
else, because we come from a society where culturally, it's not just in our country, everywhere there are layers, but the layers are still there. Women will always have this. If your counterpart is worried, say has two worries, you might have 7, 6, right? If you step out of the house, if you ask him what you're worried about, he will give you a particular
Yes.
things, right? But if he asks you what you're worried about, there are so many layers to it, because we have to be, we are in always in that zone of feeling unsafe, and imagine how much that affects your nervous system.
That's true.
Imagine how much it is affecting you daily.
That's true.
And to add to it, you have your hormones changing weekly.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's what it is. This is us in a nutshell. So as a matter of fact, Femved or any femtech platform or solution providers, they have to keep on building on to their solutions, because we have to keep up with the cyclic situations that women go through, and it is always about how much you talk to them. So listening plays a very important role. If you are into this industry, you have to listen. You have to listen and keep listening and keep changing. So yeah, that's what it is.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So I know consistency is one thing we need to maintain in the long
Correct.
run. That's what I understood. And if you have like 3 to 5 habits that you are consistently maintaining for your health to be better in a longer span, So, what would be those 3 or 4 things you would be consistently following for a while from the days?
You're saying from a wellness perspective as to what you need to be,
Yes,
you
from
need
the
to
PCOS journey that you went through, what all
from okay
changes that
that.
you made? Yeah.
See, frankly, what I am seeing right now is, and you must be there are multiple resources now. What you need to, that the first thing that you need to really consider is to to understand your feelings first, acknowledging it. As women, we do not acknowledge, first we do not acknowledge our problem, we end up believing it's normal. um, so it is not normal. Your period pain is not normal. Until yesterday, people didn't, I mean, I'm saying yesterday, but for a couple of years ago, people didn't know what's the difference between PMS and PMDD, but there were women who were going through PMDD.
Okay, I
And
don't. I shouldn't be knowing it.
yeah, so PMDD is it happens during your PMS, but the hormonal change, or the hormonal effects, or the hormonal changes that few women go through, they're extremely heightened. So they are extremely depressed, they're extremely anxious. The period pain is extremely different, to a point where the depression is super high, at a point where women have felt suicidal. So when someone comes across and says, hey, I am on my period and I'm not feeling fine, it's not your level fine. it, Her level fine can be different from your level fine. A woman with endometriosis has a different PMS than a normal PMS from a PCOS PMS. So it's all different. So the first thing that we need to really understand is, first understand what's going on in our body. First acknowledge it. That's the first thing that I think is important for anyone. Acknowledge it, and then okay, now I'm ready and I need to work on this. So this is the first thing. The
So-
most, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Period pain is not normal.
Period pain is not normal. Period pain is so. For me, even we will be the first. In fact, when we started FemVed, we could be the first holistic wellness platform who was talking about lifestyle changes and routines needed for your supplementary care needed for your complete health, right? So when we were doing this is when our experts, Ayurvedic experts, started talking through our panels and our master classes. And the first master class that we did was, your period pain is not normal. So you shouldn't have period pain, firstly.
So if there is a pain, that means our body
There's
is trying
some-
to
yeah.
tell something
Correct.
which we should be working on.
Correct. There's some issue. There's something going on with your, and you will notice if you start, again, acknowledging. If you start noticing, each period pain is different. Say if you've gone for a vacation and you had a good time, and then you came back and you had your periods. And if suppose you're a person who do not have period pain, then it's amazing. But if you have had, your period pain will be different than if you are in a heightened stressful situation. So that's the reason why period pain is not normal. And now that you see research everywhere, they are saying it's not normal and you're not supposed to go through it, because if there is a period pain, there's something going on with your hormones and you need to check. There's something.
So the first point is acknowledging.
First point is acknowledging, and the second point is to pause. You need to pause. You need not. I mean, I am that person. I mean, to be a founder firstly, and then to be a founder of a femtech industry, which we have our own struggles, right? It's such an irony that I have to take a pause, and I'm like, what I am preaching, I need to apply. So it's very difficult. I have always been a workaholic. I have been a workaholic since the start of my career. I don't understand pause. I don't understand. I never understood pause, and I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Just sit like this and do what? Okay, but you need to pause. You need to pause, and you need to pause. You need to know when to pause. So, especially before your periods and during your periods, you need to rest. You need to let others take care of you. I mean, whoever is around you, and you need to first be in that state of believing that you deserve this rest, and you need to take that pause. You need to rest. Your body needs to rest, and that is very, very important. So the most important thing, you need to look at pause and rest, and which adds to the sleep part of it. I mean, if you talk to experts, I'm not the experts. I mean, if you would have the FemWays experts on board, they will tell you how important your sleep is, and how much you need to give priority to that. Don't do anything else. Like, you come so overwhelmed, and you will come to them, and they will not give you like a huge plan of, oh, eat this, do that. They'll be like, have you slept? And for me, it's usual. Like, if I'm talking to her about work, she'll be like, hold on, have you slept? Well, yeah, I did. So that's something is very important. You need to pause, you need to rest, and do look at your sleep, because your sleep matters. Especially women, there is research, women need more sleep than men, so we need to figure that out again. You don't have to be go, because we have that pressure innately that you have to do everything. You need to be here, you need to be there, you need to be perfect. No, you need to take that pause. You need to wait, and okay, this is not happening today, I am going to sleep. That day can also happen. It doesn't have to be, how can I do that? No, you can. You have to rest. So that's the second thing that you need to do. And you said 3, right? You said 3.
Yeah, 3.
Third is, this is very vital. This is very important. See, even if you don't focus on your what you eat, or what your diet is, of course, by now, thankfully, the awareness is there that you need to know what you're eating, and that kind of understanding everyone has. Even if you say are not reach that level, if your first step, your main 3 things that you need to follow is movement. So do any kind of movement, and it matters, because the stress, when stress is heightened, again, I am a spokesperson to the experts, but when your stress is heightened, you can always break it through movements. So it's not necessarily you have to be an yoga pro, or you need to go to the gym. It can just be a walk. One of our experts told in one of our masterclass that one must, women especially, if they can, if there's a space, they can do a moon bath. I mean, go for a moonwalk. Stay under the moonlight if you can. Do that kind of movement. Cook maybe, but not for your regular cooking. Cook where you're having fun. So move. You dance if you want to dance. If if you just want to listen to the music and just move. But move, and everyday movement is very important. So when you start moving, eventually then you get into that habit of movement, and then you reach to a point where, okay, I'll go to the gym, or I'll do yoga, or I'll do something else. So these 3 things are very important, very, very important. For me, I mean, and now that I have understood, for everyone, like, if you do these 3 things, it's manageable.
I agree, like, because I mean, the first point that you said, like, first accepting that we are having some pain,
Correct.
not
Yeah.
taking it normal, and acknowledging it,
Correct. Yeah.
and giving it what it needs, what our body needs. It could be
Yeah.
rest, or it could be good diet, or it could be a good sleep. So first acknowledging it, and working on it and giving it what it needs.
Correct.
So that really is the first step towards inner joy, I would say,
Correct.
because we need to connect to our bodies first.
Yeah.
We are always disconnected with our bodies through a lot of emotions. So the first step, trying to acknowledging, accepting, and giving it what it needs, is something that starts, first step towards inner joy. And the second thing is proper sleep.
Correct.
uh, yeah, which I would say is very, very essential for our body to recover.
Yeah.
So our body has like natural mechanism to heal itself during sleep. So I think the proper 8 to 9 hours of sleep is very, very essential for women, as you said.
Yeah.
And yeah, third thing is right, proper food. So it might be different from each person.
Correct.
So understanding what food we need for our body is very
Yeah.
essential, and following it consistently. And I would say fourth, like moving the body and
Yeah.
doing something that we like,
Correct. Yeah.
that moves our body. It could be yoga, as you said, or it could be a
Correct.
sport, or it could be just playing with the kids.
Yeah, for all you, oh, that's the best. If you
Yeah.
have kids around and if you
Yeah.
have siblings, and that's the best way to get rid of stress. I mean, I had this friend and her son. I used to. There were these times when I used to play, and I mean it's long time back, but I mean he's grown up now. But it used to be fun. Like there were times when we used to do yoga together. So and he was, and he had so many questions, and he had so much of understanding of the world differently that they help you in your day to day. They help in reducing the so-called cortisol levels that are heightened. Playing with them is one thing that you should look at. I mean, it's something that
Yeah, so if we love our body, I mean, if we love living the life, we should start moving around.
yeah, right. It's
That's true.
it's very important. Like the fact that to understand that this the entire thing about how your body plays a vital role in everything that you're doing. So then that acceptance that I need to take care of myself.
Right.
Yeah, this is my responsibility, right? So if you understand that, see, self-care is not always about being like I deserve it. Self-care is about responsibility also. It's not about this is my what's the word for it? Self-care is not about something that you ask for. Like you do it. It's like this is my.
It is our duty.
Yeah. It's also your responsibility. It's not something that you take lightly. So that's the difference between self-care and self-obsession, right?
As a mother takes responsibility for her kid, so we should take responsibility for
Yeah, and the mother should take care of themselves first, and
Yeah.
then they should take. That's the point. Like
That's true.
that's the whole idea, right?
That's true.
About what we are doing in women's wellness. There's so
Correct.
much that mothers go through,
Correct.
and that is just being dismissed because she's also busy being the good mother.
Correct.
She doesn't have time to take care of herself. So this is the thing, like you need to take care of yourself first before you take care of everyone around you. And that's the reason why self-care becomes the most important responsibility as an individual.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, in my experience, I see taking care of ourselves as a woman first is seen as like selfishness, and we are expected to
If
take.
you if you want me to go, I'll go in depth about it, and that's the fact. That's why I'm glad you brought that point up. Yeah, because that's what you've been told since
Right.
centuries, right? That's what you've been told over these years, that taking care of yourself and taking time for yourself is selfish, but it is not. If a woman doesn't take care of herself, there's no possible way that she can go ahead and take care. And the women's body is so complex. that she needs the care more. So she needs to take care of herself first. That's what the research is saying now. That's what things are saying, that's what everything is coming up, right? So definitely it's not selfish.
Correct.
And
As much as we want to take care of our family, so we also want to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So we need to find a balance.
You have to have that balance, and you need to make time for yourself. You need to create that time for yourself, and it's essential, because the layers it's there's so many layers of issues that we can go through, and they all come packaged in the end. It
Right.
might come, it might suddenly you're like, you must have done that, I have done that. Suddenly we see our mothers being unwell, and then we are like, what just happened? Because menopause hit, and they had to go through everything came in together for them, and then you were like, why are you this, why are you suddenly not what you were? She was putting pressure on herself, and then doing everything that she did. So that's what happens. So if we look at it from a broader perspective, women need to take care of themselves at every life stage, because then it will come in a package, and then it might be a problem.
Correct. So, I mean, having 500 people on your platform, you must be, going through different stories of other women.
Right.
So, I would like to know what physical and emotional challenges women are facing today. I mean, especially from the experiences that you are going through. So, what are
Yeah.
the most common physical and emotional challenges?
See, I'll go at a broader level first, at a worldly level, and then we'll narrow it down to what's going on specifically to the women that you've spoken about. So now, if you look at a broader worldly level, and I'm talking for everybody in the femtech space, because they are sitting there and they're really voicing it out and telling everybody to be aware of this. At a worldly level, women's wellness is considered now. There was a lot of disparity from the start. So your research again didn't consider women and women's body. So they were considered as a smaller men. So most of the research that has been done overall has not been specific to women. For one, menopause was never considered as part of the aging research. There's one more example of where women 25% of the times live in pain more than men. And I don't have to go in the depths of what's happening with the menstrual and the reproductive research and care, right? Because we're getting to physical pain, like we're getting to know about it, that there is so much that is, even from a perspective of cancer or cardiology, and the research is so minimal that it's specific to women, as in, of course, the research is quite but specific to women's body and how the drugs affect their body has been very, very low. So now the world is waking up to it, and now the research is happening in this area. But then again, it is underrepresented. The funding for such areas is low. So for us, our ecosystem, the femtech ecosystem, is actually pushing for that. So we are talking about it, we are creating awareness about it. Can we go beyond? For us as FemVed, we want to understand and try and spread this awareness that can we go beyond reproductive care? Can we go beyond this bikini medicines? Can we focus further? Can we look at every life stages of a woman? So this is at a broader level. This is the major challenge. So now you call it a physical challenge, or you call it as a mental challenge, or emotional challenge at a very broader level. Now let's go specific. Now since this is happening, now you look at if 50% of the population is in this zone of unclarity. Okay, it's happening there, it's right there. If you go to that personal aspect of it, what will be your, how will you be as a person? You will be also unsure, right? You will be also in a state of overwhelm. you will be in a state of what's happening. Should I even say physically, should I even tell someone that, oh, I am having this pain where I can't stand up because period pain is normal? How are you going to say that, right? So then let's get to that, that kind of a structure, like a personal level. It's overwhelming to even accept what's going on with you. Two, there is less motivation because there is a pill for an ill situation, so there's very low motivation for working on yourself, telling someone to help you. And again, there's no community. Tell me how many of times that it's now that femtech communities and something like what we are as a solution providers are trying to do. Women need community, and now you and I are speaking and you're smiling because you're realizing for a fact that you've gone through it. So this is the point. At a worldly level, it's we're still waking up for the fact that, oh, we need to do more research, oh, there needs to be more tension. And at a personal level, your truth is not known by the world. So the reality, that there is such a disconnection between the reality and what's going around, and that's the challenge. 24/7, someone cannot be overwhelmed about something, and cannot have this feeling of disconnected. So that's the major challenge, and then it results into multiple aspects. As you know, it's already there. Currently in India, there are so many women in some way having PCOS. There is a there is a research about it. So yeah, this is basically, from my perspective, this is the problem, and so has been with our community. So it's not one problem ever.
Correct.
It's never one problem.
And since you have done this amount of research, I would like to ask one question from the earlier question. So right now we are seeing so many women going through a fertility related issue, or PCOS, or endometriosis, something or the other we are going through.
Yeah.
So do you see the same rate and same amount in the previous generation, like our earlier generations, grandmothers or grandmothers? So what is the difference like?
The difference is their opinion was never considered. That's the only difference, but it was always there.
Always there.
So it's so the research has now mentioned that PCOS can be passed on through generations. So there is a possibility when you were conceived, when you were in your mother's womb, when the woman is pregnant, she can pass on
The PCOS.
the trauma and a person, then later PCOS. This is a research. There was this conference that I went to, is where the doctor was a gynecologist was speaking about it. So see, there are so many barriers in women's wellness, and many of them comes from the cultural aspects of it too. And luck has it that Ayurveda had already bifurcated women's wellness. Only thing, it wasn't applied right. It went again in that, maybe in a way where we kind of forgot, or people didn't have time, or there were some cultural aspects to it. But you go to any part of the world, you speak to anybody. Our community is global, right? So you speak to them, they will also say that their ancestral trauma or the cultural effects, as you rightly said, the grandmothers, mothers, it's been passed on to us. And it's us now, it's our responsibility, again I'm talking about responsibility, to break it to a point where we then voice it, and then we say, no, this is happening to me and this is not normal, and this shouldn't happen to the next generation. So the fact that you and I are discussing period pain is not normal may not be a discussion point for the next generation, because they will not have a period pain. is what we need to now think of.
Hmm.
So it's always been in generations. It has stayed. If
Uh,
to answer your question.
yeah.
Yeah.
So can I reverse PCOS, or can I just take measures to slow down it? Like,
See, this is a question that a doctor will answer. I will give you a very broader answer to this. What our experts tell our user base, or our community is, um, it's a process.
okay.
And it's, as I said, it's not something that okay, it's done, it's over. um, it's a it's a structural change that you need to look at. So your daily routines matter. What level of stress you are at matters. All that matters. So it is a consistent process. That's my answer to it. But of course, you will have resources online, and they'll tell you multiple answers.
Yeah.
But I would suggest always go refer to a practitioner. Always go to a doctor. And if you've acknowledged the fact that you have a PCOS problem, and you have the symptoms, please always refer to a doctor or any femtech-led platform that you think you would want to talk to or connect with.
Alright. So, what is PCOS exactly? Can you briefly
Okay,
tell?
now just it's a polycystic ovary syndrome, and see, there are multiple research to it. For a very long time, PCOS didn't have. They did not look at it as a particular they looked at it as a particular, they didn't look at it as a particular area problem. What they looked at it is, okay, it's a syndrome, and it just doesn't affect one aspect of your body. So early on it was like, okay, it's a polycystic ovary syndrome, so it's happening in your ovaries. So okay, this is the solution. But now there are multiple research, and the research is now saying that it can be so many things. It's the gut-brain connection that can lead to this issue. But majorly it's more of when your hormones are imbalanced, you have PCOS, and then PCOS has multiple symptoms. The visible symptoms are many symptoms now, but the visible symptoms are, of course, you gain weight.
Thyroid.
Thyroid is again another problem, hormonal problem. With PCOS, what happens is it can happen again at any age. You end up gaining weight, and your cortisol levels are affected. You get acne. These are the visible symptoms. But of course, the irregularities of your period, heightened period pain, PMDD again. So there are multiple symptoms that PCOS is. And again, I would suggest, please refer whoever is listening, whoever will be listening to. If by now everybody is aware, especially in India now, people are aware of PCOS, please refer to a doctor and connect with them, understand how you can work on your personal process, because it's a consistent process. It's not something that you will.
And you said we need to be
Yeah.
very consistent.
Correct. You cannot just for one time and you're done with it. So yeah.
Correct, yeah. And seeing so many women, what is the difference that you see between a woman who is healthy and happy, and a woman like who is still trying to be there, like to become healthier and happy? What is the main difference?
Do you think there is a difference? I mean, me personally, I'm going to be a little spiritual about it. The personal experience, genuinely personal experience. Every person has their own struggles, and the levels of those struggles change for them. Again, it's personal and at a specific time. Um, so for me, even I'm not just talking now, I'm not just talking as spiritually as at a broader level, but I'm also talking as a founder of a femtech platform, right? You nobody is, you and I, we are not 24/7 healthy and happy. You cannot be. And so hence there is no difference, like the difference is when that the only difference that there won't be two different women. The only difference you can then figure out is a woman who had gone through a particular unhealthy problem, and then after few months, years, she's reached to a point where she is healthy. So that difference, of course, you can see. You can see it in yourself also. Like if you had a good sleep, the next day you're different, and that matters. Happiness plays a very important role. Happiness plays a very important role. Now then again, how you perceive happiness, but it is very important. It affects your health largely. Your emotions affect your health largely. So again, it's a constant give and take. And I do believe this. I was of the opinion until last year that person can handle everything. You can handle your physical health, you can handle your emotional health, you can handle your mental health. No, but there comes a time when everything crumples down, and you need people. You need that kind of support system. And acknowledging that is also very important, and hence there is no, according to me, there can never be a clear difference, and it cannot be between one person to another person. It's that person to that person only, and if that change is happening, well and good, that's perfect. If you can always say, oh, few years ago I was this and now I'm that, but that's the kind of a difference or a change you can see, and other than that, there is no.
Yeah, so
you cannot be. Yeah.
There's never this comparison between like someone and someone.
No.
It's
no.
about me, like how I am today, and
Yes.
how, what I would want.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, and also consistency plays a major role.
It
That's
plays.
I believe. Yeah.
Also, for example, now why do we have to look at the difference between a person who's healed or who's from one person to another? Because the symptoms are also different. So we cannot, if you're talking about a PCOS, you will have 10 women with 10 different symptoms. So how do we compare? You don't compare.
I need to understand my body first.
Correct.
I need to understand my emotions first.
Yes.
Rather than seeing like, oh, somebody is this, somebody.
Right. And also the whole idea of perfection, right? We need to completely break it, because if we put perfection in wellness, then you will never achieve wellness.
True,
Correct.
yeah.
So there is no perfection in wellness. You can always be compassionate about it, about someone else, and you can always feel their problem or their pain, but you cannot compare. You cannot be like, oh, she's fine, tick,
Right.
that. It's not. You cannot do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And also, from my experience, I believe like we should be okay. Like even we are not consistent. Like someday I might be down. Like I don't
Right.
want to do anything. So I need to understand why I feel this way. Okay, if I feel okay, let me take rest. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, if I have more energy, yeah, I'll go and work
Right.
out and be consistent with my
Right.
movement.
Right.
So I need to connect to
Yeah.
my emotions first.
Yeah, you don't have to be obnoxious about it. It's like, okay, please don't bother me. I am not feeling fine today. You don't
Right.
have to be obnoxious about it, but you need to accept. You need to accept it. The fact that okay, today my body needs rest, and you need to take that time
Correct.
for yourself. So yeah, I mean, it's always important to be in that relation with yourself.
Correct.
Correct. So that is very important.
Right. So, as a woman myself, I have struggled a lot with the self-trust and self-respect. In fact, so I would like to ask this question: like, how a woman can start building self-trust and self-care in a slow and meaningful way.
Okay. Okay, this is quite, and I'm glad that you brought this up. Yeah, I'm going to bring this point. See, generationally, um, we have been told, or rather we have not necessarily told also. There were I have been brought up in a family where I was never told to do anything. It's like you decide what, when you have that kind of, oh my god, I get to make that decision, I have that opinion. There are the different challenges also, of course, for that. But if you've been told that you have to be perfect, your hair should be like this, skin should be like this, your body should be like this, you're supposed to be presentable, you should be, firm but not so firm, all that, in all that, and the worries again, like I said, the counterpart of yours, and then you, and all that, that is creating a havoc on your body already. So how to build self-respect, or even so forget the self-trust and self-respect, I'm going to come at self-care first. To slowly start reasoning things out, that it's not that being told that you're supposed to be looking this way is wrong, but reason it out. Is it making me feel better? Reason that out first. Am I losing weight because 10 other people said that losing weight makes you look good, or am I losing weight because I want to feel better with my health? I don't want to be feeling this drowsy, this drained, unwell. That's where you start with your self-care. It's like you reason. It's very difficult. It's super difficult. I mean, we have this joke between friends, like we are in our 30s, in almost late 30s, and we have this joke as to there is this kind of a ritual, right? You have to get up and you do. So you have to get up and go to the gym. You have to get up and do your yoga. There are days when you've done it crying, but you have to. You're doing it because you want to feel better about yourself, and not because other people are telling you to.
Correct.
That's when you start building self-care. When you reason it out for yourself. Now again, self-trust and self-respect, that takes a lot of time. And I'm sure it is, everyone has their own story to tell, and it generally doesn't have to come from a place of physical challenges. It's not necessarily that, right? But yes, I know for a fact that many women who have PCOS, even thyroid issues, there is this huge problem with self-trust and self-respect. Trust is again a different area, but self-respect. In that case also, please take it slow. Give yourself some time. Don't be hard on yourself. Please take it slow. It's one step at a time, and that's the reason why community matters. It matters a lot. You need to be around people, especially women who have gone through it, and then you don't feel that you don't feel that baggage, and you don't feel that weight on your shoulders as to that there's something off with me. See, when do you lose your self-respect, or when do you start questioning things? When you think something is off with you, right? But if you are in a community, or if you are in a system where you're connected, you somehow start melting that around things around you. Like we recently, I didn't believe that would create such an impact. We recently had a pottery workshop, and out of that workshop, 70% of women had PCOS, but we didn't speak about PCOS. We didn't speak about our problems. We spoke about everything that is affecting that day. It's like, oh, good, you did that. One of the comment was, I'm so glad you did that. I might have just gone and eaten something today. So it's better I'm doing this than going and eating something unhealthy. So this is how you can build self-care and self-respect or self-trust is you start reasoning it out with yourself and take it slow. Please
Correct.
take it slow. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be so
That's true.
tough on yourself.